Have you ever wondered why so many things are made in China? It's a question that touches nearly every aspect of our daily lives, from the clothes we wear to the gadgets we use. The answer has long been simple. China makes things cheaper than almost anywhere else. This reputation for low-cost manufacturing has shaped global trade for decades. From clothes to phones, the Made in China label has become a global symbol of affordability and accessibility, making products available to millions who might not otherwise afford them. This vast industrial machine was built on relentless efficiency, aiming to produce more, faster, and cheaper than anyone else. Every process was optimized, every second counted. This strategy transformed China into the world's factory, lifting millions out of poverty, fueling an economic miracle, and reshaping entire cities into manufacturing powerhouses. But this focus on price has become an obsession, leading to a brutal price war among companies. Each one tries to undercut the other, squeezing margins to the breaking point. The drive to be the cheapest has pushed Chinese manufacturing to incredible heights, but it's now a critical weakness. The race to the bottom has consequences. The system is breaking down as efficiency becomes an end in itself, disconnected from demand or profitability. Factories run at full speed, even when there's no one to buy the goods. The engine that powered China's rise is sputtering, creating problems harder to solve than just making things for less. Companies struggle to profit, workers see stagnant wages, and uncertainty grows. Warehouses fill with unsold goods, and the world is flooded with products nobody can buy. The cycle of overproduction and underconsumption deepens. This is the China trap, where a nation's greatest economic achievement morphs into its most significant challenge, threatening the stability of the entire system. It's a story of unintended consequences, where the pursuit of efficiency leads to economic instability and uncertainty for millions of families. The relentless push for lower prices has created a situation where things are almost too cheap to survive, and companies can't sustain themselves. The arrangement that once benefited everyone is now unraveling, leaving uncertainty in its wake. Western consumers enjoyed lower prices for years, but now the system's flaws are impossible to ignore. The ripple effects are felt worldwide. The obsession with cheapness has led to a dangerous state of economic instability, putting both workers and companies at risk. The question remains, what happens when the drive for cheapness goes too far? The answer will shape the future of global trade and the lives of millions. In China, the term neizhuan, or industrial involution, describes the economy's zero-sum game, where everyone is locked in relentless competition, but no one truly wins. It's a race to the bottom, where survival, not innovation, is the prize. Companies and workers push themselves harder, but the rewards keep shrinking. Companies cut costs to stay afloat, stifling true progress. Corners are cut, safety is compromised, and creativity is sacrificed for short-term gains. With little incentive for R&D, the focus shifts to undercutting competition. The drive to be the cheapest overshadows the drive to be the best. This leads to a marketplace crowded with nearly identical products. Innovation stalls, and consumers see little difference between brands. Imagine farmers lowering prices to compete, eventually selling at a loss. The cycle repeats, trapping everyone in a downward spiral. This is industrial involution, resulting in stagnation for the group. No one moves forward, and the sense of progress disappears. Across major industries, profits collapse, and workers face stagnant wages and job insecurity. The dream of upward mobility fades for many. The promise of a better life feels out of reach. Hopes for the future are replaced by daily struggles and uncertainty. Industrial involution is more than an economic term. It's a society running faster to stay in place, exhausting itself for diminishing returns. The intense competition leads to burnout and disillusionment. People feel trapped, unable to escape the cycle. Young people opt out, embracing a minimalist lifestyle known as lying flat. They choose rest and simplicity over endless struggle. They reject societal pressure to work long hours for diminishing returns, seeking meaning beyond relentless labor. The human cost of the China trap is measured in lost hopes and growing anxieties, as dreams are deferred and uncertainty becomes the new normal. Overproduction in key sectors is not accidental. It's a result of deliberate government policy, carefully crafted over years. The Chinese government has long identified certain industries as strategically vital to the nation's future. In solar panels, China aims to dominate the global green energy market, outpacing competitors through sheer scale and investment. Massive resources have been poured into the solar industry, causing a supply glut that far exceeds domestic and international demand. Prices crashed, and companies are forced to sell panels at a loss just to clear out mounting inventory, putting enormous pressure on smaller firms. The same story unfolds in the electric vehicle market, where production has surged far beyond what the market can absorb. Government subsidies led to the creation of over 100 Chinese EV brands, sparking a brutal price war and fierce competition. New cars are sold at staggering discounts, bleeding companies dry, and making profitability nearly impossible for many. Subsidies meant to support innovation now fuel oversupply, threatening bankruptcy for both established players and newcomers. A similar situation occurred in the steel industry a decade ago, when China's output soared to unprecedented levels. China's steel capacity eventually exceeded the rest of the world combined, causing a global price collapse and turmoil in international markets. The pattern is the same. Government support leads to overcapacity, which then ripples through global supply chains. This strategy gains market share for Chinese firms, but it comes at a tremendous cost to both domestic and foreign competitors. It creates winners by ensuring everyone else loses, reshaping entire industries and leaving lasting impacts worldwide. The government identifies strategic industries and provides massive support, from cheap loans to direct subsidies. Companies ramp up production beyond market needs, unleashing overcapacity that distorts prices and competition. The strategy is powerful, but it's also costly for China and its trading partners, fueling trade tensions and economic instability. Ultimately, it's a strategy that creates winners by ensuring everyone else loses, reshaping the global economic landscape in the process. The Chinese government is the central actor in this economic drama. It sustains overproduction through state-owned banks and local governments. Cheap loans keep factories running regardless of demand. Local officials, judged on growth, do whatever it takes to keep businesses afloat. This creates zombie companies, kept alive by government aid. They don't profit or innovate, they just produce. These companies contribute to overcapacity, dumping products at low prices. The government's helping hand distorts the market, prolonging the pain. The ultimate goal is control, keeping companies dependent on government support. This prevents creative destruction, clogging the system with unproductive firms. The government's intervention aims to maintain stability and control. It directs resources to strategic industries, projecting strength and prosperity. However, this control comes at a hidden price. It prevents the natural economic cycle, dragging down the entire economy. The system becomes clogged with unproductive firms, dragging down the entire economy. Economic numbers tell one story, but people bear the true cost. The pressure to cut costs falls on workers, stalling wage growth. The dream of a better life fades as people work harder, but fall behind. Job insecurity is pervasive, with layoffs a constant threat. Young graduates face a tough job market, competing for fewer well-paying jobs. The social contract of hard work leading to stability is breaking down. Stagnant wages suppress domestic consumption, hindering economic rebalancing. People save rather than spend, creating a vicious cycle. Weak consumer spending forces reliance on exports, exacerbating overcapacity. Social friction grows as intense competition leads to burnout. The human cost of the China trap is measured in lost hopes and growing anxieties. China exports its overcapacity problem to the world. Ultra-cheap goods create deflationary pressure, challenging global industries. High-tech sectors like solar panels and EVs struggle to compete. The global response is protectionism, with tariffs and anti-dumping measures. Trade tensions rise, threatening the globalized economic system. China's economic slowdown creates instability worldwide. Deflationary pressure leads to lower investment and slower growth. Countries face a dilemma. Let industries be wiped out or risk a trade war. The China trap becomes a global crisis with consequences felt far beyond its borders. To understand China's trap, we go back to 1978. Deng Xiaoping's reforms transformed China into an industrial powerhouse. A nationwide race for economic development ensued. The export-oriented model was successful, creating a massive manufacturing base. However, it was dependent on ever-increasing investment and export markets. The system focused on supply, neglecting domestic demand. Past crises of overcapacity led to painful adjustments. Today's crisis is in high-tech industries crucial for China's future. The government is reluctant to force cuts, doubling down on support. The old solution of painful cuts is no longer seen as an option. The problem of overcapacity is more dangerous this time. The question is whether China can learn from past mistakes or repeat them. China's predicament is not unique in economic history. The Roman Empire faced a crisis with cheap grain imports. The British Empire's coal market decline offers a parallel. Japan's lost decade shows the burden of overcapacity. These examples caution against overwhelming production capacity. When supply outpaces demand, prices fall, profits disappear, and investment dries up. China faces its own version of this historical pattern. The question is whether it can learn from past mistakes. The efficiency that created wealth now erodes market foundations. The China trap is a self-reinforcing cycle driven by political logic. Why does China support this flawed model? Politics. Economic growth is the foundation of the Communist Party's legitimacy. A slowdown threatens the social contract and could lead to unrest. Stability and control are top priorities, even if economically irrational. The government plays a long-term geopolitical game. Overcapacity in industries like EVs is a strategic tool. Short-term losses aim for global dominance. The China trap's paradox efficiency erodes market foundations. The government is trapped between political needs and economic reality. The cycle is self-reinforcing, steering toward an uncertain future. The China trap is a self-reinforcing cycle, driven by political logic.